1 year woo.
Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to the Monday Discourse for today, September 28th, 2020. September, the month that just happened, and I blinked and it disappeared. Hey everybody, my name is Tristan Johnson. I'm the host of the YouTube channel Step Back History and Tristan Won't Shut Up. I just want to do a quick rundown of my streaming schedule. The show you're watching right now is the Monday Discourse, where my co-host Mia Mulder will be joining us shortly, where we talk about weird shit on the internet. And also, Step Back Tonight, a show I run on Tuesday nights from 7 to 10, which you guys can watch tomorrow. That's Eastern time, of course. And Fridays, when there isn't a Step Back video coming out, I do the Reactor, in which people send me content to react to. That's on Fridays from 2 to 5. I go by he, him pronouns. My work can be found at stepbackhistory.com and tristanwon'tshutup.com. If you are on Twitch right now, I would like to say to you, Twitch friends, that if you have Amazon Prime, then you get one free Twitch subscription per month. And if you don't use it, it just gets sent to make sequels to, what's that Amazon video game they're making? New World, which sounds pretty colonialist and racist. So if you want to show that you do not support settler colonial video games, then I sincerely recommend that you help an independent creator on Twitch. And if you choose Step Back History, you're helping all the more. You're not helping all the more. Please pick any independent creator you like. If you choose Step Back History, I'll be very grateful. But just make sure that you use it rather than not use it. And if you do want to spend a little bit of your real dosh on subscriptions, for 2 more days, it's still September, where all of the money goes towards the creator this time. So if you wanted to do something, if you wanted to be if you wanted to, help out a creator at the lowest price point that you can get away with on Twitch, then this would be a really good time to do it. Again, if you help me out, very grateful. Be as cool as Birdie Blake, who has just resubbed for 12 straight months, 1 full year. And then it kind of dawns on me, so thank you, Birdie. And also everyone should check out Birdie's art, because if you know the splash screen, the Step Back History splash screen, which is much of this art is actually going to start seeing itself in my thumbnails and stuff. So if you are a fan of that art, you should go give Birdie Blake money so that they can draw you cool things. Also reminds me that, man, I've been a streamer now for over a year, and now streaming is becoming a not small part of my income. It's not the smallest source of income I make anymore, which is it's bananas. Thank you all for doing that. Thank you for this weird experiment actually taking off. If you want to watch my latest videos, my latest video for Tristan Won't Shut Up is about Mars colonization. I know there should be another Tristan Won't Shut Up video soon. I have it filmed, I just have not been, I've been busy, so I haven't been able to dig in to edit it. I need a good day to do it. Hopefully that day will be tomorrow. And if you want to watch, and that video is on, it's on planned economies and why they are good, actually. And if you haven't checked it out, my latest video on Step Back was on Emma Goldman, which I thought was really good. So I thought it was really good, and the people who watched it seemed to like it. But it's not doing super great because it's about a WOMS, and people don't like when you talk about women on the internet. So, yeah. So that's my latest video, and my next video is on stuff. I'm gonna get it hyped up in a second, but basically, Dinesh D'Souza Endgame, but it's not about what you think it's about. So that's where I'll go with that. Anyways, the hour is late, and good morning, Sunday morning. We're gonna get Mia Mulder. We're gonna start some Mulder posting. Let me just go find her on this thing. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello. You made it. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Welcome.
Right. Welcome to the internet. I know that it just arrived in Sweden last week, so
just came here, just with the new boat.
Yep.
A healthy shipment of internet just came with the ferry.
It's like waiting for letters, but you're waiting for the latest internet to arrive on the new shipment.
Exactly.
Is there any internet for me today, mailman? I'm sorry.
Any internet, a crumb of internet, please.
How you been?
I've been good. I've been working hard and hardly working at the same time.
Yeah, I think you sent me a message earlier today that this weekend you just hoovered up all history memes.
I have so many history memes. I didn't even send you many because I didn't want to spam you, but after the stream I'm just gonna like unload like 24 history memes about Suleiman the Magnificent.
Excellent. You know I love a good Suleiman meme.
We love onion hats.
Yeah. Please, can you tell all the people on the internet who this Mia Mulder person is?
Mia Mulder is a small bird-like creature that lives in the tundra of northern Russia, and sometimes she emerges roughly once a month to make a video on YouTube about history, politics, trans stuff. I don't know. You know what a video essay is. I do one of those. They're pretty good. My latest video was on fascism and the distinction of doing fascism versus being fascists and the usefulness of political labels. It's a good one. Yeah. I like it. I liked it.
When I was watching that, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get Mia in trouble." Like the time that she said that, this is like on the level of John Oliver as a journalist type video.
Yeah, it's where I go against the more like mainstream opinions. Mm-hmm. People don't like it when you do that.
No.
But I didn't actually get that much flack for it. I've mostly had people be like, "But I wanna have a simple answer for everything." Sucks.
Historians actually have, this is the people don't know, is that we're both historians, and that historians, as a rule, have allergic reactions when somebody tries to propose a simple solution to something.
Oh yeah, we hate that. Fuck that. It always has to be like, well, we can actually, we're that kind of person.
Yeah, there's at least
the only person who can do that successfully is Adam Conover, and he's not even a fucking historian.
Mm-hmm. But anytime someone tries to propose a rule, we're like, but you don't. We need to add an entire chapter of all the times the rule has exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a good video. I found out that the YouTube algorithm freaking hates it when you use the word fascism. You know, it does not like it. They finally have learned that fascism is bad, but they can't distinguish between when someone is a pro-fascist and anti-fascist. So it got like a big bump in viewership when I released the video to my own audience, and then it just kind of crashed when my subscribers had seen it because it's not suggesting it to anyone.
My video, I also committed a similar crime. I made a video about a WOMS.
Oh, you can't do that.
No. And so I've talked about this in the past, but there's something called the Step Back Woman tax, which is actually a 30 to 38% decrease in views when the topic of my video is about a WOMS.
Yeah, it's almost like the internet just doesn't like women.
And like you're like a woman on the internet, and so like do you just have the Step Back Woman tax on every video?
I don't know. Maybe I get around it by having by tricking the audience into thinking that my videos aren't WOMS centered, even though they all are. Like I have titles like Donald Trump, and it's like it's about a man's, but then it's actually about like political labels.
So I should just
that no one cares about.
I should change the name of this video to Alex Berkman's Dangerous Best Friend.
It would probably, because of how bad YouTube algorithms are, it probably, yeah. I wonder if someone has actually done like one of those algorithms, because you know how you can do like there are those studies that that show that like if an essay has like a male coded name, it gets like better grades. I wonder if someone has done like a study with that in terms of the YouTube algorithm, because I know that some YouTubers did that with like LGBT subjects, and LGBT subject is like heavily decreased in the algorithm. So I wonder if like feminine coded names are also sort of like suppressed in the algorithm somehow.
Watch
Someone
the
should do that.
biography of a person by the name of E. Goldman. Go the sort of female YA author route. Other than that, has there been some good discourse on Twitter this month or this week?
Let's see. Today I've seen some discourse being like that John Oliver is actually liking last week tonight is the best leftist praxis. John Oliver is a bread to a burr. I've seen that. I've seen that discourse happening today. But
we've talked a bit about John Oliver, and I think that like we came to a similar conclusion, which is like, as far as like normie shit that you can see on mainstream American television, he's about as left as you can get.
Yeah, and like it's not bad to like him, but that doesn't make him immune to criticism.
But he's a good starting point, not a good finishing point.
Yeah,
read more things.
And there are a significant amount of like John Oliver stans that get really upset when you say like, John Oliver isn't the end all be all of political discourse. They get really upset with that. I don't know why.
Dear God. Also, yesterday the New York Times published a piece. Perfect time, because I now that I know how news cycles work, is that if you want to release something that everyone's going to talk about in the news, you actually release it on Sunday night.
Yeah. So
New York Times Sunday night, i.e. last night, found that Trump paid not much money in the taxes, and the discourse was like, man, Orange Man definitely bad because he didn't pay money in taxes. And Tristan's response is, man, wait till they find out that no other rich people pay taxes either. Wait till they find out how Jeff Bezos has over 100 times more money than 100 times more money than Donald Trump. But has paid no taxes.
Taxant. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like they are technically correct, but you can see why they're doing it.
Yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, Jeff Bezos made negative taxes. Like the government gave him money for being rich.
Yeah, like Amazon got tax subsidies, so people are actually giving Amazon their own money. Even if they don't buy anything from Amazon, just by virtue of paying tax. And I paid more tax. I paid more tax than Donald Trump, though. I think that's where a lot of people get really upset. Where it's like, not only does he barely pay any tax, he pays so little tax. Where it's like a lot of like working class people are like, I paid more tax than the president did, which is something that a lot of people find like wild.
Yeah. I did a little bit of napkin math the other day, and so and this is something that I was super, super big that I wanted to make sure everybody knew. So Donald Trump's worth about, like, people don't actually know. That's one of the big problems, because when you run real estate, it's kind of weird. But let's just say Jeff Bezos has like $120 billion, something crazy like that right now.
Yeah.
Just want to let you guys all know that for $1 billion, less than 1% of his total wealth, you could pay a person a $100,000 a year salary, a good salary, like an upper middle class salary, for 10,000 years. Just so you know, just that's one. That is. Let me just do another. Let me just pull up my calculator here. 1 divided by 120 is 0.8% of his wealth.
Yeah. My God.
So yeah,
we do live in a society.
Use those Amazon Prime subscriptions, please.
Please.
We have to stop giving him money. He basically was like, wait, what if we had a centralized planned economy, and then I just took over the entire economy. What if we just privatized the planned economy? And now it was that was basically Jeff Bezos's like innovation.
Yeah.
And now he is worth all of the money. He's going to be a trillionaire because
He probably is.
Because he just figured out, hey, what if I ran my government or what if I ran my business like a socialist government? And then it was like, oh, turns out that planned economy is really good.
Yeah, instead of giving back anything to his employees, he's just taking everything. Amazon is just like so fucking shady though. Like, if it sucks because like a lot of companies have to like put their goods on Amazon for it to be sold. And if something is doing well on Amazon, the company will like make their own version of that good and sell it for cheaper until the original good is like run out of business. And then they will like up the price again. So they're like slowly becoming a monopoly in like a ton of different sectors.
Yeah. There's the bad side is we're getting critically close to a point where just the most successful company became successful by just owning the economy.
Yeah.
They just own all economics. Like somebody won capitalism where one company just beat all the other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, the good side is that it's very easy to nationalize an economy like that because all you have to do is say Amazon belongs to government now.
RIP. I mean, that's never going to happen because I feel like at that point, Amazon is going to like launch like the Amazon Prime Soldier where you can get a 50% discount if you become a soldier in his private army.
Don't they already like do like gig economy delivery people?
Probably. Yeah, like they might as well like they're like 2 years away from militarizing those people. They have drones and everything. Like I feel like they're not that far off. Can't you buy ammo on Amazon? Like don't they already like have like stores of ammunition? They probably do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because I was listening to the Well, There's Your Problem podcast, and there was a story about somebody who, a FedEx employee who like got put in serious danger because somebody decided to buy tires on Amazon.
What?
Like car tires.
Yeah.
Because then
why would that?
Because the package was really big and heavy, and it almost crushed, like, pinned this person in a bad position and stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing that came up in the questions was, oh shit, that's Step Back History merch. Yes, this is Step Back History merch. I bought this in 2017 to go to VidCon. It is a two of a kind because Kelly has one, but only two of them exist. I have a second T-shirt that you can buy off of TeePublic or Teespring, but this one is literally just I custom made 2 T-shirts so I could go to VidCon and wear it every day.
Nice.
I wore another shirt underneath, so it's not gross. Although it's like what? It was like it's a dry 36 degrees outside when you're there. Yeah, you were gonna find out.
36 degrees.
You were gonna find out for the first time what it was like to be in anti-Sweden, where it's just like this desert, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've been to Mexico, but that was very humid, and I feel like I can sort of deal with that because Sweden is always like a humid cold.
Your humors.
If I ever go to LA for like actual VidCon, I feel like I'm just gonna die. I'm gonna become dehydrated from stepping off the airplane if I ever go to VidCon.
You're just gonna step off the plane and then just like, then you're gonna be 5'2". You just shrink like a foot and a half just by losing water.
Yeah. Jesus. If VidCon is ever gonna come back.
Yeah.
Since COVID is never gonna go away.
Or it's gonna go away in every country except for the one that VidCon happens in.
Yes. I can't believe I skipped VidCon in London because I was like, oh, I can just go to the one in LA. It'll be fine. COVID will blow over by then.
No. Yeah, it's like, I remember that when, like, very soon after the pandemic started, Kelly had her birthday. And it was really sad because it was like we were all stuck inside and she couldn't do anything for her birthday. And then it would be like, well, maybe we can both celebrate when my birthday comes up in November because there won't, like, it'll be over by then, right? And now it's like, and then we were talking like, what do you want to do for your birthday, Tristan? And I was like, I don't know, maybe drink and play Jackbox games with some friends on Zoom.
Listen, at this point, that's all we can do.
Yeah. All right, it's time for the legal podcast response zone.
Hell yes.
So the legal podcast guys did a breakdown of that Atlantic article. I don't know which Atlantic article this is. No, apparently most of the swing states have split legislatures, and that could prevent from pulling the faithless electors gambit, aside from Florida. So it seems like the election might come down to Florida, and Ron DeSantis starts talking about mail voter fraud panic. Okay, so this is about faithless electors. So this is one of those things where like there was this worry that hey, Pen Gorksil, thank you for following. That like states so America has the best presidential election system ever. In that, what happens is you vote in November, and then that tells the state legislature what like electors to send because they support that person. But then it turns out that if they don't want to, they don't have to. And so
they can just vote forever.
Yeah, so they're just thinking like, well, what if the state government just says, actually, why don't we just instead we're going to send people who like Trump instead of people who like Biden, even though Biden won the election. But I guess that it's whether or not that's happened, like it's going to be a. I love that. First of all, in 2020, election night is turning into election month, possibly election months.
Yeah, isn't that like the voting is already happening, right? Like there's already been like almost 1 million voters or something like that.
Yeah, apparently voter turnout is way up compared to previous years. So what's going to happen is the Republicans, their strategy is going to try to invalidate as many mail-in ballots as possible, which will be cool and good.
Yeah, and especially since they will mostly be Democrat, right? Because Trump's followers, not to generalize, but if there is like one anti-mail-in order ballot camp, it is the right-wing camp. So like they're probably going to do that less than Democrats.
Yeah, the mail-in vote tends to prefer Democrats except in extremely rural areas. But
yeah, I saw 538 referred to it as like the blue shift effect. So that in November we're gonna have like the initial result, and then like it's gonna slowly drift like more and more Democrat as the ballots, mail-in ballots come in.
That's gonna sound so what's it called? That's going to sound so stressful. November's going to suck so much.
November's going to suck so bad.
And yeah,
I'm considering doing my sort of like long-term like charity stream during election night so people don't have to look at it.
Oh boy. There's not actually like people they were talking about the idea of one of my friends were talking about having a election party of some kind, and I was like, it's not really good. Like the election night's not going to work that way this time around. It's going to be like what happens it's going to be like those times in Europe where like an election happens and like you get the results and you're like, okay, whatever. Because then you have to wait like 3 weeks for them to figure out what the coalition's going to be.
Yeah.
I think that probably happens in Sweden, right?
Yeah, we didn't have a government for, I think, 4 months? 5 months? Something like that?
Yeah, because you vote to see how big the slice, how big the different parties get slices of the pies. And then they spend the next like few months having conclave until they find out if they have a coalition government that works.
Having conclaves, yeah.
And when the white smoke comes out, it means that a government has been reached. So yeah, we're going to learn a whole lot about the minutia of the process of electing president. Like everyone who had issues with the Electoral College or who tried to defend it, the people who tried to defend the Electoral College probably did so because so far it has worked rather efficiently. At least it has functioned at some sort of a pace. But now that like every step of the process is going to be excruciating and fought over, and there's going to be a culture war about every aspect of it, maybe this will finally rot all faith in the Electoral College. We'll see.
I'm just concerned because it's going to be like such a clusterfuck just because of how America is organized. Because there's going to be chaos on a sort of district level and then on a state level, and then on a federal level, and they will just like all become like one huge aggregate of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll take months before anything becomes like super clear. I think it'll take like a few weeks before we have like a general picture of how the elections are going to turn out.
And that's what, yeah,
but it's going to take months before we have like a final count.
And by December, that's when Cthulhu comes into our realm and
just
unleashes a reign of chaos amongst the earth. No, the worst part is going to be, thank you, Mortming, for following, is when it's December 31st, and it's like 11:59, and then we're like, yes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it gets to 11:60, and we're like, wait, what?
Hang on. The sky turns red.
Yep. And then they say, we were sorry about the performance of 2020. We're just going to do it again next year. We're going to delay 2021 by a year and just do 2020 again.
2022. Electric Boogaloo.
Okay. Next one. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's something that Birdie said. I also have a Patreon where I'm working on a story with cute girls, communism, and spooky monsters. That sounds fun.
That's all we like.
Just in time for Spooktober.
Oh, it's just a few days away. Some good in this world.
I can't wait to see what culture war we have about trick-or-treating here in Americas. Because you guys don't do this in Europe, but here on Halloween we send children out to have particles get sprayed on them by absolute strangers in exchange for candy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see what kind of first of all, can't wait to see all of the costumes where you see like something's just absolutely from like a post-apocalyptic fiction novel of like a child dressed as Captain America wearing a mask. But then also the people...
There's going to be so many COVID... Like, kids are going to be dressed as COVID. You know that, right? Like, as the virus.
1 second. I got a treat in the mail. To this extent.
Wait, what?
I got a treat in the mail. This was going to be for my October video, but then inspiration struck and I'm not doing it. But hey, Lugster, thank you for the subscription.
Too many plague doctors this Halloween.
Hell yeah, too many plague doctors.
It's going to disappear, and yeah, I got this.
Yes.
Because I was planning on making a Black Death video for October, but it will have to wait.
Perfect timing.
I think it's going to be a November video. But yeah, I'm imagining more like we're going to see. First of all, we're going to see so many Ruth Bader Ginsburg costumes.
Oh yes,
of
course.
Little girls whose moms forced them to wear Ruth Bader Ginsburg costumes with masks on, and then you're going to have the kids who are the children of Trump supporters who have no masks on. So that they can go and bring all of the viruses home to their parents. And then there's going to be some towns that debate whether or not to shut down trick-or-treating this year. And then you're going to have...
That's going to become like a thing too.
Yeah, I can't wait. We haven't hit the end of like just how dumb October is going to be about Halloween. We're going to have Halloween fight.
Christ. Yeah, we don't really do that here. Some kids will always go around and trick-or-treat because they want to do it so they can get candy because they know American kids do it. But primarily, it's not really a thing that happens super commonly here. It's like slowly being imported, but like no one likes it because no one has candy.
Europeans understand the true value of Halloween, which is for adults to wear costumes and get drunk.
Yeah, that's why we have Halloween.
Yep. And also, if you were to give away candy in like Europe, like I don't know if it would work out as well because like the two types of candy are like tin containers filled with butter cookies and that thing that's black licorice with salt on it. Those are the only two European candies.
Yeah, salt and pepper and licorice.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Just like there you go. So those are the two that they allow in Europe. Or also that like there's like a British chocolate bar that literally advertises itself saying women can't eat them. That like,
what?
Yeah, there's like this is a manly chocolate bar for men. no women, and it literally has like a like the women's restroom sign with like the circle slashed out, and it's like, women can't eat this chocolate bar. They are too weak and effeminate for this milk chocolate. It's one of the weirdest fucking things.
This milk chocolate is only for men.
Yeah.
Wild.
Okay. Should you modernize classic sci-fi when you adapt it? Like there's a Brave New World adaptation TV show airing at the moment, and the computers and stuff in it, and there's computers and stuff. Would have been better if they'd stuck with the 1930s analog tech in the book. I mean, one of the things I like about the John Hurt version of 1984 is they make the technology look like how it's described in the book, rather than what the real 1980s tech was like.
I think I saw like 10 minutes of the modern adaptation, and I didn't really like it. But I think as long as I think it's fine to modernize classic sci-fi, as long as sort of the central themes are still included. Like if you modernize it to a point where the point of the story doesn't make sense anymore, then it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't affect the themes, then I think it's fine.
I'm actually a really big fan of the Aldous Huxley novel Brave New World, and yeah, if you read that novel, like the thing is, it's not just like how 1984 should not be read. It's not one of those like, well, actually raise the glasses according to the deep BNW lore. This will not be a thing, because like the thing is like, yeah, it's a novel that came out like in the 30s before they thought computers were going to be a thing, and so they were like literally, and also before they understood that genetics were a thing. So they were like the literal idea is like, we're going to make this like dumb working class. How do we do that? We expose the fetuses to alcohol so that their brains don't develop as much, and like we limit the oxygen they get when they're in fetuses so that they're slow and receptive to commands and like that kind of stuff. And it's like that's interesting and it's kind of cool and like, but also is completely ascientific. And I feel like if you were to tell the same story to a modern audience that doesn't use if that doesn't use computers and like genetics and stuff like that, then it'll ring as like something that doesn't make any sense, because Brave New World is more about the idea of like what happens when the state uses intimate parts of our lives to control us, and about like what about totalitarianism that controls through pleasure rather than pain, and like those are the important ideas of Brave New World. And also about what's it called? How the state could control people by destroying concepts like family and things like that. Mm-hmm. But not about like the proper process for making sure that alphas and betas are like properly programmed by subliminal psychology that has been considered out of date for over 5 decades now, because it uses a lot of like. The children are like programmed by them being like them having like information played to them while they're sleeping through speakers that are in their pillows, and it's like it's based on sort of like the subconscious ideas of like Sigmund Freud, which like anybody who knows anything about where psychology has been since Sigmund Freud knows that there's no scientific basis for this kind of stuff. So it's like. Yeah, because like, but the thing is, Brave New World is really good because of the very unique way it does dystopia, which is that about a totalitarian society that controls through intimacy and pleasure and not through like breaking people apart in pain. And if the show does that, then it's fine. In my mind, it's just making it not resonate as like antiquated, which Brave New World kind of is. Am I making any sense?
You're making great sense. Like as long as the themes, as long as the themes are like integral, I think it works fine.
Yeah, because like the thing that they do, and also there's some like super sexist stuff, like how the way like because women can't be mothers anymore because they make all of the babies in like glass jars, but because women have a natural need to get pregnant, they take pregnancy surrogates, which make them basically hormonally go through the entire process of pregnancy without actually having a baby, just so that women don't get hysteria or something like weird like that.
Yikes.
But like it's also it's a future where basically because they do that and because they stratify people from birth about what kind of jobs you're going to have, there's no such thing as a family unit. Kids are raised by the state, and people are kept docile because basically free birth control, free contraceptive, and free like drugs basically make everybody complacent because everybody is high on this drug that makes you feel really good but isn't like super strong, and everybody just like fucks each other's brains out. And like and that but they and it's like it's actually like one of the and all of the music and like stuff is like completely like surface level and vapid. It's actually like the most accurate dystopia.
Yeah.
But it's based on some like weird stuff. Okay. The next question. If if Mitch McConnell died on the same day as Antonin Scalia, do you think that a different Republican Senate leader would let Obama pick a judge?
Probably not. I feel like Mitch McConnell is not uniquely a shithead.
Actually, he kind of is.
Is he?
I think.
I don't know. I feel like his replacement would probably be maybe not as shitty, but still like pretty shitty.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like, in some ways, I think that whoever succeeded him would probably use his playbook of tactics. But like historians of American political history, like 40 years from now, are going to be writing about how Mitch McConnell completely redesigned congressional politics. Like, he basically is the person who figured out if you don't follow any of the rules of gentlemanly politics. Like, that he figured out that basically, like, how much of American politics is held up by just, like, centuries-long norms. And realized that if you just don't listen to that, like, if you're okay with just being a hypocrite, you can, like, actually, like, get a lot of shit done. But the thing is, I think the genie's out of the bag on that one. Like, I think that you don't need Mitch McConnell to keep that going because now every Republican kind of plays that playbook. So
yeah,
if it was like Mitt Romney or something that replaced him, maybe. But like those people don't really have like the sort of like moderate Republicans don't have much of a grasp on power in the party anymore. I don't think. Ooh.
Yeah, maybe when Antonin Scalia died, they had that, but not anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's a serious question. I will take some serious consideration. What? This is a political question, by the way. Or no, it's not political. What video games have you two been playing lately?
I've been playing a game called Medieval Dynasty, which is very fun. Which is not realistic to actual medieval, like history or politics, because it basically puts you in the character of someone who wants to build a village. There are no lords around. You can just build wherever you want. You pay taxes once a year, and it's super easy to do. It's a very casual sort of village builder, where you get wife, you farm, you chop down tree, build house, and breed.
This is the most European video game I've ever seen. They're like,
it's very much like Farming Simulator, but peasants.
It's like it's a work simulator, and it also simulates like a part of history that was unpleasant, but in a positive light. It's like, oh my god, it's perfect. This is. If there was a train somehow involved in this would be the most European video game ever.
Oh, I wish there was a train in this. I wish there was like 18th century dynasty, where like 19th century dynasty, and I could just build my own train line from scratch, like from a first person perspective, and run it. Yeah. Dream. Someday
someone's gonna make a video game where you simulate running a Victorian factory with children working in it, and it will. The productivity lost in Germany alone will crash the global economy.
That'll be great. Can't wait. I have to make this game. I want this. I need this.
Yeah. As for me, my like handful of games I've been playing these days, I don't play video games in like big long streaks anymore. I play like short things. So I've been playing Crusader Kings 3. That's a fun game. Then I've been that's probably the one I've been spending the most time playing. But also Fall Guys, if I need to like chill out. Fall Guys is
pretty
probably
good.
it's pretty fun. I'm surprised how fast it like went from like a thing everybody was talking about to just like a complete ghost town.
Yeah, Among Us came out directly afterwards, and everyone just jumped to that.
The thing is, Among Us has been out for a few years. It's just that like it just got randomly super popular. I don't know anything about it at all.
I think it came out on Steam, and that's why it became popular.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
I honestly don't know the first thing about this game.
It's Among Us.
So it's like Space Mafia.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a hit and roll. You go around and kill people, or you go around and do tasks and find out who is killing people.
All right.
It was popularized by a streamer? Damn!
Sounds about right. That happens. It's probably how Fall Guys became so big too.
Yeah, but Fall Guys at least came out and was like a new game.
Yeah, because like apparently
wild.
I remember that the story was that there was a sequel in production that they actually canceled because the game just took off and became so popular. So now they're like, oh, we got to like put our efforts into like making new content for the first one.
That's interesting.
The other video game I've been playing is Hearthstone's Arenas, or not Arena, Battlegrounds, which is sort of like
those are fun.
Yeah, Hearthstone Battlegrounds is sort of like a mix of like draft in like a draft in like Magic the Gathering type play, and those what's it called, auto battler games like auto chess. It's like a combination of those two things.
I love that. It's actually really fun. It's such a weird like conglomeration of genres too.
Yeah, I love it. It's like especially because it's like the one. It's like Hearthstone is one of those games that's like really fun, except that you can't play the game without like literally feeling like just like pixies just constantly trying to tear money out of your wallet.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to spend dosh on a video game that you've already spent money on, then Hearthstone is kind of like really oppressive in that system, because like it's a card game, but this is like the one system where it's like, hey, you can play this and you don't have to spend money.
It's great.
Yeah.
I play Arena as much as I can, but that does cost money to play, unless you have gold. But you only get gold by playing, and I don't want to play the game normally.
Yeah.
I just want to...
I remember there was a time when I was really into it where literally I was like, I guess I'll just play Arena till I run out of gold, and then I'll just like take like the most like cheesy like finish in 3 rounds standard deck just so that I can play enough games to get to play Arena again.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the worst.
Arena's fun.
Yeah. The constructed is actually, I think it's awful. Like, it's like, that game is so like swingy. Like, it's like, if you aren't ahead in the first 3 rounds, you basically lost. And it's like, okay, I don't know if this is a game I'm really into. Anyways, I think those are the video games I'm playing. I'm looking at the World of Warcraft expansion that's coming out next month as like a thing, because that's a evil siren. It's a game I can play with my mom, basically.
Yeah.
Because my mom plays that game religiously, and I wanted the thing to spend time with mummy.
Well, the last one I played like semi-seriously was Legion. I didn't get into, was it Battle for Azeroth?
Yeah, that's a new one, where
I didn't get that.
it's pretty well known. It's pretty known to be pretty bad. This one's all about the afterlife, though.
You go to heaven, isn't it?
Hello, Godzilla. Thank you for following. Yeah. So that'll be fun.
And like, don't you like? I heard that you like can meet Uther because he's dead.
Yeah, he's
for Warcraft 3, I guess.
He's an angel now.
Nice. I might look into that, but I also don't really care that much about World of Warcraft anymore. Although I do sometimes watch like some streamer play it, and I get this sort of tug in my heart to play it again. But it doesn't hit the same as it used to.
Yeah, like,
I might play classic if I ever want to scratch that itch again.
Yeah, because I got the game back in 2004 when I was in high school.
Yeah,
and so it like has this like deep nostalgic pull to me that always like siren songs me back every like few years. But I was like, it's, and also I haven't been able to find any other game that has that sort of like turn on a podcast and tune out type of play style that I like.
Oh, yeah. But I really wish that, because they have classic servers now, and I kind of really wish that they had classic servers in the sense of for every expansion, so I could do it slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, they just have like version start and the latest one, which I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Next question we got here is: how often can you ironically use the word "woms" before it stops being commentary and just becomes distasteful? Uh-oh.
Until someone complains about it, and at that point you have a choice of doubling down or stop doing it. And if you double down, I feel like that's when it starts becoming distasteful.
I always feel like it always feels like one of those things that's like, yeah, it is kind of a sexist term, but also it's like when you like try to use like some sort of like term that used to be a slur in like 1843, and like just no one's heard it in like 100 years, and you're like, except for internet history, because it's like from like something awful like 20 years ago. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question about Emperor Diocletian. So I don't know anything about Rome except that everybody apparently hates Caesar Augustus now, which makes me happy.
Rip.
Apparently,
bad
like,
legacy.
So apparently Caesar Augustus just like paid a bunch of historians to write about how great he was, and like because every historian was like CGP Graham was like only written sources are useful. Therefore, for hundreds of years, they wrote about how
we're never going to let him down on that one. Are we?
No. And so historians for centuries were like, well, Caesar Augustus must have been great because all of the writing from the time says that he was great. And then like historians that did research on like sources that were not writings are like, oh wait, no, things were really bad during this time.
Yeah.
Including like I don't know how that propaganda victory happened, because didn't Caesar Augustus like, wasn't he involved with like the biggest defeat in Roman history, where like they just went into Germany and the Germans just ate the entire Roman army?
Yeah, entire like legions.
Yeah.
But that has been romanticized in a sort of way. Where are my legions?
Yeah, but Germany, they went into the woods, and there was just like, as we know from fiction, that the woods of Germany are just filled with grandmothers and gingerbread houses, and the grandmothers just ate all of the Roman legions. This is history
just
facts.
Chock full of cryptids.
Yeah, I have a master's in history, so that is accurate and facts.
That is true.
That's a history fact. All right, so Emperor Diocletian used to get a lot of credit for saving the Roman Empire, but now people tend to think the empire was trending towards reforms he put in place anyway. Is that an example of great man history turning out to be BS?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a story that has happened thousands of times. This is like every single major historical figure, or almost everyone anyway, you can like trace back to this kind of stuff happening.
Yeah. Like something is about to happen, and the guy does it, and everyone just attributes that the change happening to the one person doing it, rather than the assumedly thousands of people working towards that change happening in the first place.
Yeah, you can always, if you like look at like a real Marxist view of history, you can always see like major changes in history being like these tensions that arise. Like there's obviously these ideas of how the world should be run that rise, but because society doesn't really respond in kind, and then you just have some big event or like some person who has power, and they can like break the norms and put in a whole bunch of stuff at a time. Like history is very much like periods of like big periods of like rising in tension, followed by like release, where like a lot of things change in a short amount of time. And so like you can definitely like, you could like saying that like Emperor Diocletian saved the Roman Empire is like saying that the match exploded when it was thrown on dynamite. Like it's like you needed the match to blow up the dynamite, but the dynamite is what blew up.
Yeah.
All right. Yesterday,
that's basically a good debunking of great man history overall.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yesterday, I heard a supposedly reformed MRA say that women do like bad guys, but only because capitalism and patriarchy encourages them to. Thoughts on that take?
It's a weird take.
It certainly is.
I don't really see the logic there.
I like.
No,
I think that there's like.
I think it's a bad logic.
Yeah.
Like capitalism and patriarchy does encourage, or like does influence the like personal preference and personal choice in terms of like relationships. Like that happens. But I don't think that like explains why women like bad boys. I just don't. I think that's sort of stretching to find an explanation for a phenomenon that maybe doesn't really exist.
Or if it does exist, it's like with teenagers.
Yeah.
Because teenagers, even teenage girls, emotionally develop over time, and yeah, like like people like all sorts of stuff that's not good for them. And like like what's it called? I'm obviously not going to dig too much into it, but like sometimes bad boys are interesting, and immediately regrettable. And then when you grow up, you realize you want somebody who is an emotionally grown-up human being. But you know what? Men do the exact same shit. So like, it's a further of like taking like the way that people think about romance in high school, and because I don't know, lack of maturity, like just like attributing that to like the way people think forever. When it's like, sure, not all, like women don't necessarily think like they did when they were 14 years old and reading Twilight, like. Because like there is like something romantic about like, oh, rebel guy, because like all the fiction is about that. But like you date a few of those people and you're like, oh, they kind of suck.
Fuck this.
It turns out that dating nice people is fine, and they figure that out like by college. So like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the patriarchy or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably something to that, but there are like I feel like it's missing the main issue. Maybe they're not 100% wrong, but they're definitely not 100% right by that take.
Yeah, because there's definitely something very patriarchal about like how I code this like Twilight as like a there's a lot of like people who like Twilight is like their first like big exploration of romantic themes in their culture. Thank you, Bear Claire. Thank you for following. And so like anybody will tell you that like what it sets up there is an extremely toxic relationship.
Yeah.
But like it is romanticized because there is like a way that we romanticize that. I mean that book is written by a woman, and like and it's a lot of toxic things that are romanticized in our fiction, but and that definitely speaks to a deep-seated problem that the straights are having with relating to each other. All right. The next question I got here is thoughts on the Zapatistas.
Don't know enough about them, but they seem cool. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they're awful, but they seem cool.
As far as I know, they're pretty cool because they're just like indigenous leftist rebels who are opposing the Mexican government in like deep in like the southern part of Mexico.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
They have a ceasefire with the Mexican government too, so they're like they're not like warring with each other, which is good. They're just like farming.
Yeah,
they're just vibing.
As far as I know, given that I haven't like read all of the books, they seem all right.
Yeah.
And they are an indigenous-led movement, which is like great because North America is surprisingly lean on prominent indigenous-led movements, and fairly often in Latin America, indigenous resistance movements are typically called either terrorists, communists, or narco gangs, so that they can justify the U.S. giving the government money to commit genocide on them. So if there is a group that's indigenous resistance that's not doing that or not being treated like that, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Is anarchism particularly popular in Mexico? I'm reading a sci-fi novel set sometime around the mid-21st century, and there's a war going on between the legitimate Mexican government and an anarchist insurgency.
I think there are some anarchist movements in Mexico.
There's
that doesn't sound too far off.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's Mexico specifically, but like there is like anarchism in the left is a lot more prominent in Spanish-speaking countries.
Yeah.
If you go like the Spanish left is a lot more into syndicalists and anarchists than they are into like authoritarian centralized leftists. That's why like when there was a leftist revolution in Spain, it was led by like the CNTFAI, and like I could imagine that that political culture going through the Spanish or spreading through the Spanish-speaking world means that anarchists could be more prominent in the left in Latin America. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, the next question is extra credits okay now that James no longer works there, or should we still be mad at them for keeping him as long as they did?
I have no idea about the thing that happened around extra credits. I know something weird happened, but I don't know exactly what. So
the game like extra credits was originally started by a guy named James Portnoy, who is basically a video game consultant. So like different developers hire him to be a consultant on their games. So he made that series about video games, and he makes a series about history. But turns out that, first of all, he hired his girlfriend in a job at the company. Then they broke up. And basically, James Portnoy, as the person who the entire channel was built around and like the head of the company, was used like the next few months to basically try and push her out of the company by like lying about her and like saying that she was doing all these horrible things that she wasn't. And when she left, or she left eventually, and when she went public, about like a few people at Extra Credits quietly left. Like you remember, there was a few years ago where a bunch of people randomly left, including like the guy who did all the voices.
Yeah.
And so they all knew about this going on behind the scenes, and they all decided to leave. But then like she went public about it a few months after that. And that was sort of, it was like a big, like, you know, it was part of it was right at the height of like what was going on with Me Too and everything like that. It wasn't sexual harassment, it was definitely like abuse and workplace harassment.
Yeah, like a shitty boss.
Yeah, it was definitely very, very unethical. And it led to a one-day loss of about 100,000 subscribers, and then they just kind of moved on, and nobody really ever talked about it again. They did an internal investigation that I think was independent, but that's about it. But then it was over. But I guess if James has left it now, like, I don't know. Those kind of institutions are complicated. Like, if...
Yeah, because I don't think it's a huge company either. I think it's like less than a dozen people working on it, right?
Yeah, if it had that kind of toxic culture. The only thing, though, is that Extra Credits was so... Like, this was the guy that held up the entire thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people left over it, but also people need money to live. I don't know. It's complicated feelings. If Extra Credits is making good content, then it's not the worst thing in the world to watch it, but, like... You can like, and
hopefully they have a bit of a like healthier workplace structure.
Yeah, I more feel bad for the people who had to live in that structure, and I feel really bad for the woman that he sort of ruined the life of.
Like forced out of the company by being a shitty boss. Yeah.
All right, question about libertarians. It seems to me that libertarians claim to like small government, but are super cool with authoritarian police state. Is this because of the corrupting nature of conservatism?
I mean, partially. I also think that like a lot of people who call themselves libertarians aren't actually libertarians.
Yeah.
Like they only view themselves as libertarians in the areas that they don't care about. But they are fine with government interference and all sorts of other things. They don't actually care about actual libertarianism. Like, I feel like I hate to sound like a meme, but like actual libertarianism would be very like pro pro possibility of abortion, right? Like very pro-choice.
I mean, like when
it depends. I mean, I guess it depends on how you like what your definition of libertarianism is.
Yeah, because like the American libertarian movement, like the right-wing libertarian movement that all the right-wing libertarians have like modeled themselves off of, grew out of opposition to the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
So like it's always been an authoritarian right-wing movement. That's why if it says anything, like the whole libertarian to fascist pipeline, like the fact that every prominent libertarian YouTuber is now like a QAnon YouTuber says everything you need to know about where their real politics lied.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I don't think they're actually like libertarians in the sense of in the literal definition of the word.
Yeah.
So I think that their worldview is just like warped. That everything that they think matters should be like no government interference, and that everything that's like critical for as small as government as is possible should also interfere, should also have like massive police states and everything. Just because they don't really care about that part.
Yeah. And like, because I'm thinking of like, because they're like, legalize weed, obviously, legalize the right to drink unpasteurized milk, marrying children, and voluntary slavery. Those are like their favorite bugbears, and cryptocurrency.
Why do they love cryptocurrency so fucking much?
Because it's a money that's not backed by the government, and it's based on a limited money supply. So it means that it's like the gold. It's like money without government and a gold standard. It's like all the things they love. That's why it's completely useless.
Unless you want to buy hitmen or drugs off the internet.
Yeah, I guess. It's such like it's a speculative bubble for the most part. People buy it so that they can benefit, like they can profit off of it. Because there are literal companies that are set up so that what you do is you buy cryptocurrency, then they flood the market so that the price goes way, or they buy a whole bunch that the market price goes up. Then you sell at a higher price, and then they put the stuff back on the market so that it goes back down. Like it's like literally just pure speculative market for absolutely no value whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's sort of.
I really hate. That's one of the largest like issues I have with like a lot of like cryptocurrency markets, because I would definitely be interested in like trading there if it weren't for so many like pump and dump schemes that just are openly advertising themselves as being pump and dump schemes, which are illegal when it comes to like actual trading. But with cryptocurrency, like the law has been slow to catch up.
Yeah, and that's the thing is also. People don't realize that money is not like it's based on this like fundamental faith that money has actual value, when like we know that money, even when it was based on gold, was not based on the actual value of gold. It was based on the fact like it was based on the fact that it was backed up by a government that had a military. And like you can't really have money without state power because it just doesn't have any there's no power behind it. It is. Yeah,
there's no one who forces us to think that the value is what it is.
And so like libertarians, I don't know. Maybe I need to explore them more in a video because American libertarianism is its own weird beast. That's basically a mix of like the intellectual forefathers of neoliberalism and anarcho-capitalism, and on top of that, it's mixed with a like this sort of freedom reaction against the civil rights movement, where like because they were like very much like, oh no, if I want to discriminate against people of color in my business, I should be allowed to, and you have the right to not go to my business because of that. When it's like, okay, it's just and it's one of those things that kind of went under the radar, like how the religious right started as a backlash against the civil rights movement too. We don't think about that too much. So like, I don't know. It's in my mind, it is fascism wrapped up in the language of like American free enterprise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Oh, sorry. You got a thing?
What? I got nothing.
Oh, okay. Any thoughts on Singh not triggering an election in Canada? So this is Canada news. So Canada recently, like Canada's in a minority government right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was that the Conservatives not long ago chose their new party leader. And then because he was doing a bribery, the Prime Minister prorogued Parliament so he wouldn't have to answer questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Parliament just reconvened last week. And Justin Trudeau did this like speech from the throne. And before he could answer any questions about all of those crimes he did, he proposed like this really big coronavirus support bill. And basically what happened is that Jagmeet Singh, who is the leader of our Social Democratic Party, which is the most left-wing party we have, signed yes onto it, which a lot of people are saying basically like this, like if Jagmeet Singh had not signed on to this coronavirus bill, it would have basically triggered an election, and probably an election that the Conservatives would have won. So we'd have had Prime Minister Thumb. So there's two things you can say to that. One, it does mean that it does set a precedent, which is good, which is that Canadian parliamentary politics is now like the NDP is firmly kingmaker right now, which means that they can get some more concessions out of Justin Trudeau would be nice. But the other thing it says is that also the NDP might be in a weak position. Hello, Irene. Hello. She was in the chat. No comment, chick. But what it also says is that might give more credence to this idea that people are fearing, which is that there's a lot of evidence to say that the NDP has no money and that they don't really have the funds to run an election right now, which is not good. Because the Conservatives are full of money and ready to destroy the Liberal government at the first opportunity, but the New Democrats are completely out of money. I love this is freedom. This is good.
This is very healthy democracy in action, sort of thing. This is democracy manifest.
But not having an election where the Conservatives come to power this fall is nice. I feel like 2020's had enough. That a Canadian election was not part of the things I would have wanted.
Yeah, I feel like there's if you had to deal with like an American election and a Canadian election at the same time, I feel like we would just sort of implode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if the Conservatives won during a huge economic downturn like this, it would not turn out well for most people.
That's probably reasonable to think, yeah.
Because our Conservatives, we don't really have... Our social Conservatives are kind of, like, marginalized. So our Conservatives are entirely, like, budget hawks.
Yeah, a lot of austerity for no reason sort of types.
Austerity is basically the only policy the Conservatives have anymore. Austerity and unquestioning loyalty towards Alberta and the oil industry. Like every conservative leader might as well just be like, I pledge undying loyalty to the province of Alberta and the oil industry for which it stands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do countries stop being fascist? Like, if Trump did manage to become a dictator, how long do you think that'd last? Well, okay. All of the things I'm about to say are firmly done in the video game Minecraft. But I would just say there is one country that did oust its fascist government in a pretty good way, which was Italy. So in Minecraft, the Italians decapitated the leader and dragged his body through the streets. That's one way to get rid of a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
The other
in
way,
Minecraft.
In Minecraft. The other thing that you could think of is the other time fascism ended. The most peaceful way fascism probably ever ended was when Franco died in the 1970s.
Yeah. And the king just decided to be a Chad and be like, I have inherited everything, and I will now give it all away and become Democrat.
Yeah. So you could end up, or you could end up with other times where we've had dictatorships that ended in other peaceful ways, like Tito. Tito not being dictator anymore led to a positive and good and amicable dissolution of Yugoslavia. So, I mean, Trump dying and not having a clear successor would be the thing.
Yeah, but if that happens, like in the rare eventuality that Trump becomes dictator for a significant amount of time, and he dies to the point where he actually needs an heir to the Trumpian throne, I feel like at that point we're in pure Kaiserreich territory.
Yeah, because like a fascist dictator coming to power in his mid-70s is not like a recipe.
It's not a long-term empire.
Yeah, or a fascist dictator who comes to power in his mid-70s who also has a diet that mainly consists of McDonald's, apparently. All those things is a pretty good sign that it's not going to be a long-lasting dictatorship.
Like dynasty, yeah.
And also, all of his children. I don't think anybody likes any of his children.
I mean, I can see the possibility of American Queen Ivanka Trump.
Yeah, or
I can see that.
Or he could just appoint a successor who's just another dictator. But you don't see that very often in right-wing dictatorships.
Supreme Emperor Mitch McConnell.
He's even older.
I know.
Yeah, so most of the time, countries that are fascist stop being fascist when their leader dies, and and if there is any consolation, most dictatorships don't last longer than their first leader's life.
Yeah, it's very rare for it to last. Yeah, because it's almost impossible to have a peaceful transition of power when the power itself is maintained in a violent fashion.
Yeah, the only places where it works is if if there's a political party that backs them up, the communist countries, all the former communist countries, or the sort of followed in that Politburo type government structure, like in Iraq and in Syria and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But
then it's sort of the pretense of then it's less of an individual dictatorship. Then it's more like an organized a group dictatorship also. So and then it's sort of the interest of the group that can sort of keep something together in a shambled fashion. But historically it worked. It's a bit of a 50-50 chance, even if that sort of structure already exists.
Yeah. Thank you, Ghost of Harry Houdini, for following, by the way. Yeah, dictatorships, it's almost as if they are very unstable structures.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can imagine that Donald Trump, any dictatorship set up by Donald Trump, would not last very long because he's very old. And it would just kind of... The bigger problem would be all the chaos that comes after that. Where we get America doing a Yugoslavia breakup, which would be Sir Zhao Zhao asks if it's okay to create a Mia Mulder Wikipedia article on Swedish Wikipedia.
Yeah, go for it. Fuck it. I'm not allowed to do my own Wikipedia page, and I would love to have one. So because if someone makes a Wikipedia about me, that means that I matter.
Yeah, it's just the word.
I'm relevant.
It's just an article, Mia Mulder, and that just says Mia Mulder over and over again for 3,000 lines.
There is one Wikipedia editor that has it out for me, though, because I remember I've written a significant amount of Wikipedia articles about trans history stuff, and there is one editor on Swedish Wikipedia, and he's a priest or something in his 80s, who hates every single edit that I do. And just reverts all of them and gets me banned from certain pages because I'm a one-issue editor because I do trans history. It's yes, this is not a bad thing.
Goddamn.
But yeah, if you give me a Wikipedia page, I would love it. I can't touch it. I'm not allowed to make my own. I'm not allowed to edit my own because you're not allowed to make your own Wikipedia page. Yep. But if you want one, yeah, go ahead. I'd love it. I can brag to all of my friends that I have a Wikipedia page about myself. I have a Wikitubia page though. I don't think that's as impressive.
I don't think there are any wikis for Wiki. I don't think I have a page on anything, as far as I know. But I also don't think I am deserving of one at this point in my career.
I think the only way to get sort of a Wikitubia page is to have like one or two fans that is like really into making Wikipedia pages, and after that it's just the luck of the draw, really.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm not in any rush to get those things. I realize that like my career is on a trajectory where I'm not going to be irrelevant forever, and so I'm kind of enjoying my obscurity as long as I can hold that out.
Someone just mentioned that there might be a Mia Mulder page on Conservapedia, and now I have to check. I must know. I hope not. Yes. No entries found. Yes. All right. I'm safe for now.
So the next question is, so Trump may be getting Florida to send electors who will say he won no matter how the people actually voted. Can agree that would be the crossing the Rubicon moment? Like, I think if that happens, we, the left, need to admit the U.S. is effectively a dictatorship.
Yes.
Yeah. The only...
Because that would be like a blatant... breach of the rules, sort of. Like, America has a lot of rules that Trump is already breaching, but in terms of like getting the power that he has in order to do those fuck ups, he did get that legitimately. If he starts fucking with the way to get power, even more than like voter suppression in a sort of like very direct way, well then yeah, it's like, well, this isn't even indirect fascism, this is just outright dictatorship.
I mean, yeah, it's not too dissimilar from like what happened in Florida, but what happened in Florida in 2000. But
very true.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm most worried about is that this kind of happened before in Florida in 2000. Now it was a much closer election, but like, yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out. This is a much more contentious election. People hate Trump way more than they hated George Bush in 2000. In fact, in 2000, the main joke that was going on during the election was how Al Gore and George Bush were basically identical candidates. They had the same policies. Yeah. To the point where Futurama's joke about the election was having two clones running for president against each other. Which is like my favorite line, which explains like almost all politics. Like, my opponent's policies go too far. And the other person's like, well, I think my opponent's policies don't go too far enough. Yeah, so that's like, we might see a repeat of Florida shit, and with a conservative Supreme Court, that's not going to end well for us. But yes. But I feel like people might be paying a little bit more attention. Honestly, the scariest part about everything that's going on in America is that we are wading into some really, really uncharted waters here.
Yes. We are entering what historians call the cool zone.
Yeah. This is the stuff that
we are already halfway through.
This is stuff that historians will use to compare to future events, because this is like weird shit that doesn't happen normally. Someone said put some trousers on. Excuse me, I'm wearing shorts because it is like 27 degrees in my apartment because our air conditioner is broken.
Oh yeah, has winter not come to you yet? Or autumn, fall?
I mean, it was here for a bit. It went down to like 6 degrees one night, but then now decides it's like, no, I'm going to be 27 again just for a bit. So, and also because I have no air conditioning and because it's Canada, all the apartments are like insulated and stuff like that. So it's hot. And like, I have a fan running right now. It's like everything, like it's, and I'm already sweaty. So let me wear shorts. Fuck. Stop short shaming me.
Shorts are valid.
Isn't the Black Death racist? What about the White Death? Actually, one of the things I'm going to talk about the Black Death that is super racist and how we tell the history is that we seem to write it as if like Black Death just like spawned into existence when ships arrived in Italy, when like one of the biggest impacts of like the Black Death on the world was that basically the Black Death killed the city of Alexandria.
Mm.
And that, like, it fucked up, like, the very prosperous and advanced Middle East. That's probably the thing that caused, like, the, like, Europe to be technologically ahead of the Middle East, is how devastating the plague was, and the other plague, the plague of Mongols. Like, those two things.
The plague of Mongols.
But yeah, people don't talk enough about how the Black Death really hit the Middle East hard, too.
Yeah. Like, it was yeah, as you say, it was a, like, Eurasian African disease. It didn't just hit in Europe, but that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah.
It's also why Northern Europe is got more economically advanced than Southern Europe, because Southern Europe got hit so hard. A lot of people are like, it's because Catholicism, like, you know, the whole thing about, like, oh, Italians, naturally lazy, that's why their economy is so bad. And it's like, this is like long-term trends that have more to do with other things, but okay.
Mm.
If it wasn't for the fact that their army got eaten by witches in the forests of Germany, then it would have been different.
Everything would have changed.
Yeah. What's it called? Forest witches are basically the drivers of human history.
Forest witch theory of history is something I need to talk about.
Yorkie bars, the names of the chocolate bars that said they're not for women. The no girls chocolate bars.
That's wild.
Someone said, "Don't be fooled. They have candy in Europe." And it was just like, Tristan said they only have salmiakki and butter cookies. I'd believe him.
Yeah.
It is like, every time it's like, oh, it's European candy. What is this? It's like, it is the anise plant that has been salted, and it's like, what the Europe, get some better candy.
I mean, to be fair, we do have pretty good candy.
That's true.
It's I remember, like, in my very short stay in Chicago, I got, like, some candy in the airport, and it was the sweetest thing I have ever tasted in my entire human life.
Oh yeah, there is a place you can get candy in Europe, but you have to go to Belgium to get it, and you don't want to do that. Sorry, now continue your story about sweet candy in Chicago. It
was like, I think American candy is just, like, a lot sweeter than European candy is. Like, even our sweet candy, like our chocolate and gelatin gummies and stuff like that, they are sweet, but I don't think they're as sweet. And I think European flavor profiles are also a bit more like, we prefer things that are sour and, like, a bit salty, which I think a lot of Americans don't like.
Hence my joke. Or what's it called? You want to taste in my flavor bar? Fucking Ooter on The Simpsons. Do not make me run. I'm full of chocolate. Europeans definitely do chocolate better. That's for sure.
We do have good chocolate, that's true.
You have both Switzerland and Belgium.
That's true. Although I do actually prefer Swedish chocolate to both of those.
See, what it is they take a herring and then they ferment it for 7 months and then they wrap it in chocolate.
Delicious. Wrap that in, like, a bunch of salt and pepper.
Yep.
Oh, delicious.
And black licorice. There you go. I don't like, what's it called? Black licorice is way more popular in Europe, and I find it.
I also think that, like, not only is black licorice more popular, but, like, I think we have, like, as well, like, we have, like, salt and pepper on our licorice, and I don't think that's a thing that Americans really do at all.
No, I don't think so.
Like spicy licorice. That's a really popular thing. Like, licorice is just coated in, like, spicy pepper.
Ugh. Sorry, that was an unfair reaction. To be fair,
I don't like it either.
I'm sure black licorice covered in salt and pepper is delicious. Except black licorice tastes like shit, but that's a different thing. I'm sure for people who love the taste of rubber tires, that I'm sure it's delicious.
That's fair.
Yeah. Isn't there actually? I think there's, like, a thing you can sign up for where they send you like a monthly box of random candies from Europe.
Yeah, I think you can get something from like all over the world. It's like Taste the World box or something. It's one of those like monthly subscription box things. Same as Loot Crate when that was popular.
And I just remembered that the UK also has all of Cadbury, so
Yeah, but I don't like Cadbury chocolate.
I know.
Cadbury cream eggs are okay, but that's it.
Has anyone had Mexican candy with tamarind and chili? It's very aesthetic but good. Yeah, Mexicans have found a way to put chili in like tons and tons of food, and it's delicious.
Oh my god, I never tried that. Can't believe I spent time in Mexico and I never tried it.
If you can ever get, there's this wonderful, great drink that you can get in Mexico where they put chili salt in beer, and it's really good, spicy beer. Why are people incapable of saying it's a tragedy RBG is going to be replaced with a hard right judge, but that doesn't mean she wasn't a shitty neoliberal feminist?
Nuance is that.
Yeah, long live the nuance.
Like, I think a lot of people are ignoring. Yeah, people are getting angry for no reason whatsoever. Like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead, and things will get worse now. But also, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wasn't a saint, and those are not contradictory opinions. They are in fact both true.
I'm also learning that, like, because America has a culture of extreme hero worship, and she was definitely like built up to a lot of women in America as like this extremely important icon, and legitimately did do a lot of stuff to promote gender equality at points of her career. Before she was actually a Supreme Court justice, she did a lot of really important work for that, and that shouldn't be taken away. But yeah, like if you're part of the Lakota or whatever, less so.
I have no idea.
Because she,
I still have to read up about all the shit that she did. I feel like as a foreigner, the only input that I ever saw of Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the positive stuff. I never heard about the bad stuff ever.
She's made decisions. Like what's it called? The Dakota XL pipeline. She did not take the right side of that. Did not take the right side of the Black Lives Matter movement with Colin Kaepernick kneeling and everything. Voted for the what's it called? The Citizens United decision, which is basically what broke American politics. So.
Oh yeah, the final nail in the coffin.
Yep. All right. Sorry, somebody coming into my.
It's all good.
All right, that's good. We're done. It's a delivery person trying to get through the buzzer. Okay. How do you mean about calling conservative women traitors? I was listening to the Worst Year Ever podcast yesterday, and Katie called Trump's judge pick a traitor because she intends to use her power to hurt other women.
I don't see it as the most problematic thing in the world, in the sense of like, yeah, because they're not like invalidating her womanhood. She's just saying that she is like she is doing anti-woman policies while being a woman, which I feel like traitor is not like the worst thing you can say. But I do also feel like it's not maybe the most accurate sort of description. I feel like it doesn't really help anyone to call her a traitor.
Amy Barrett. In that sense. Amy Barrett is a hardcore Catholic and extremely anti-abortion, and like a lot of stuff that's restriction on women's rights. I don't know. A complicated conversation. I feel like turns out women aren't a monolith or something.
Yeah, like it's not the worst, but it's also as Meatomaton says, it's not the best description, but it's not constructive. So, you know, it's what it is. I don't see anything super wrong with it, but at the same time, it's like, okay.
I haven't listened to that episode yet. I'm just listening to the episode where they're processing Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death.
I'm not even listening to this podcast, so maybe I shouldn't. I don't really have much to comment.
It's what's it called? It's a podcast made up of the two people who run Some More News and Robert Evans of many podcasts fames. Behind the Bastards specifically is the big one.
Oh.
I gotta make a quick washroom break, so please, can you entertain the masses?
Yes, Mia Mulder stream. Here we go.
Let me just get.
I'll do some quick answer for questions. I'll do new questions so we don't we don't mess up.
Let me just. There you go. All right, please.
Hello, this is a Mia Mulder stream now. What's up? You lobe my hair. Thank you, Ferengi viewer. I like the look of your lobes. Dab, Swedish stream. Nu jävlar är det svenska som gäller. Never make heroes with those with power. Yes, very true. Dab. I still haven't listened to Behind the Bastard. It seems like a very interesting show, but I feel like I need time to get into the sort of format that it presents. Now he wants Zuck to be hagged. Well, I do want that. They seem to have a pretty healthy view on bastards. Can someone clear up things for me regarding the Middle East being hit a lot worse by the plague than I thought? So the Middle East did significantly better than Europe when it comes to the Black Death, but significantly better when it comes to the Black Death is still very bad, considering that the Black Death killed a significant percentage of the European population. So say that roughly half of Europe died of the Black Plague, just half. Just like a 50-50 shot, which is an incredible mortality rate. In the Middle East, that was a bit lower because of a lot of hygiene practices that was more inherent to those cultures. Percentage to half of that is say 25%. It's still disastrous against they still destroy cities, even if it is twice as good, if it were half as bad as the European counterparts. So it's still bad, but it's not as bad. It's still disastrous.
What was the question?
And about the Middle East being hit by the plague. But I think, but because the Middle East also has a much larger population than Europe had at the time, that lower percentage rate translates to higher numbers anyway. So it's really hard to measure who got it worst in the sense because millions and millions of people died anyway. So that's I feel like that's a roughly good explanation. It's overly simplified, but that's roughly how it went. Yeah. It also hit the Middle East earlier than it hit Europe. It kind of hit Europe last, and came in several waves. So
made its way across the Silk Road, basically.
Yeah. Spent some time in the Middle East before it jumped to that. Does ACAB apply to Odo? Yes, but only in a good way. He's a soft bastard.
Another question was: are all Starfleet officers bastards? Security officers?
Are they? I don't know. It depends on how you view Starfleet. Are Starfleet military or are they civil servants? Or both?
Are they space cops?
I don't think they
is Worf
are.
a cop? Because they're more like security guards.
They are, yeah. They're like mall cops. They're less bastards than police officers, but they're still bastards.
Yeah, it's not like they go and look for people who are running too fast in the corridors to give them tickets.
But they will go after people in their ships.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love Star Trek.
I do too. We finished Enterprise now.
Congratulations!
And now we're working through Discovery, which is a lot better the second time watching it.
I can imagine. I felt the same way because I'm rewatching season 1 of Next Generation. I just finished it, and it's a lot easier to rewatch when you know when to not pay attention.
Yeah.
Like the very racist episodes.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes from there. Discovery is like I know that it has had a lot of behind the scenes issues because they've like changed showrunners like 3 times or something.
Yeah.
But it's like I remember like by season 2 it becomes like a legit good show. The first season is even decent. It just had like issues because the person running the show didn't quite get what Star Trek, especially what Klingons are about. But
yeah. God, what a show.
Which one? Discovery or just Star Trek in general?
Just in general, I'm just thinking about Enterprise right now.
Oh, what a mess! I'm gonna do I'm gonna do some Tristan Won't Shut Up videos about the Star Trek series as I watch them. So I might do a video essay about Enterprise because Enterprise is an awkward, weird, horny show that is like if it had a personality, it would be a 14-year-old boy.
Yes.
All right, that book I told you about where there's a caveman in North America in the present day, but we find out large parts of North America have been turned into caveman nature reserves. IRL, do you think the U.S. would be willing to do that? Also, would you want to do that rather than integrate them into our society? I would want to listen to them about what they want. That's like...
Yeah.
This is the thing. You have to make decisions with the people who are going to be affected by said decisions. That's... Us not doing that is the reason why everything sucks.
Yeah, I feel like it would be weird. I like caveman nature reserves.
It's basically trying to do like basically this. I don't know. This book seems like it's an alternate history where instead of Native Americans, it's cavemen, and it's like oh boy.
Yeah.
Where are the Native Americans in this like situation? I don't know.
Don't think about that. Don't think about it.
Can we have one alternate history novel that doesn't seem like it was written by some sort of racist? Hello, Phoebe. All right. Is it true? Our nomadic society are less likely to develop a strong idea of ownership. A while back, I had an idea for a sci-fi story about an alien race who've been communistic throughout their entire history because their way of producing food requires them to spend like half the year traveling. I mean, if you can't have a permanent house to put shit in, yeah, you kind of lose a strong concept of personal possessions.
Yeah.
You can almost see it like linked to like nomadic lifestyles, like lack of respect for property and personal possession. But also, they tend to be societies that value gift giving in a large way. But like mostly like things that you can wear on your person, or that you can eat. But yeah, like property and like the ownership of land and things like that. Yeah, they don't really get that. That's why a lot of misunderstandings happen between some groups of indigenous people and some European settlers. Although a lot of the coastal people they met were what are called semi-nomadic, which is that they were nomadic, but they spent... Like, they would live in one place for about 10 years until the local wildlife had been kind of, like, used up. And then they would go somewhere else. So it would move about every decade or so. And they probably had concepts of ownership because they had like, clans and family houses and stuff like that, so... So it highly depends upon where you are, but you can definitely see, like, all of the parts of Native American society that had, like, you know... hierarchies and kings and leaders and rulers and stuff like that were all the places where they were pretty sedentary. So there's nothing there.
Yeah. Something to that.
Yeah. Did the New Democratic Party go through a shitty neoliberal phase like UK Labour Party did? Yes. It was called the rulership of Jack Layton. It's basically like the 2000s. Yeah, the NDP when the NDP removed socialist from its party charter. To this point, the NDP hasn't really come back from that point yet. The NDP hasn't had its like Jeremy Corbyn yet.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, there was there's one person running who Nikki Ashton during the last leadership race who sort of modeled herself as the sort of Bernie Sanders or Jeremy Corbyn of the bunch, but she lost. Should you say, badass. She was campaigning for leadership of the party while pregnant with twins. To the point where the last debate of the leadership debate, she couldn't fly anymore, so she had to attend via like Skype. Someone just said Minecraft is such a violent game. I know.
It's incredibly violent. Can't believe they let kids play it.
So what you're saying is we need Queen Elizabeth to claim the Queen of America.
That's some Hearts of Iron shit.
It's really weird how much stabilization comes out of having a monarch for weird random reasons.
It's true.
So you just have like a neutral slate that can just like be a thing, so that if all government dies out, you can just like have
if all else fails.
We've got
this one guy.
Who's your king right now? What's his name?
I should know what his name is. I feel kind of shitty that I don't know what his name is.
If you're going to get into a matrilineal marriage with him, then...
Svensk Kung.
Carl Gustaf.
Yeah, Carl the 16th Gustav. King of Sweden.
Goddamn. We're gonna like... That's the thing, is like we don't realize like we've got like an old-ass queen running our country. And when she dies, we're in for like 70 or 80 or 90 years of kings.
Yeah.
Like we've got three kings in a row at that point.
Yeah, I just realized that Swedish royalty hasn't really... We haven't had that long reigning monarchs, because our current king is the longest reigning Swedish monarch. And the last record was 44 years, which isn't very long.
No. You need some more...
I feel like...
You need to I said you need to replace kings with jarls, but that's obvious.
Yeah, but he is the great jarl. The great jarl of Svitjod.
Oh my goodness.
I've been playing far too much Crusader Kings.
I have been too. The thing is like with CK2, I'm just like, I should probably play a game somewhere even in the vicinity of Europe at some point. Don't most fascist dictators make a point of not having a clear successor so everyone knows there will be a power struggle if they get assassinated? Maybe. I don't know if they think that far ahead, but I suppose so.
I think some do.
Yeah?
Maybe the smart ones do.
Could be. Kaiserreich America incoming? Yes. Maybe.
Yes.
Except the fact is that the syndicalists have no power, and many of them spent years being anti-gun, so none of them have nor know how to use guns. So
it's going to be Portland that secedes as the syndicalist faction, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just Portland.
That's the bad side about one of the many downsides of America's impending falling apart is that it's the fascists that have all of the guns and all of the training with said guns.
Yeah.
All right.
Truly, we're fucked.
Someone said I should make your Wikipedia page, and then you can make my Wikipedia page.
I feel like that's also somehow against the rules, but I'm not sure.
It's true.
Maybe it is possible.
I also am not... What's it called? I should probably... if I were to... my Wikipedia page right now would be, this is a guy who exists and has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my Wikipedia page, too.
My ultimate goal right now is to... be on my list of notable graduates from my high school. That would make me happy, because right now the most notable graduate from my high school is known for being the victim of a serial killer. So I feel like I could beat that.
Jesus.
Well,
I feel like I could have some what's it called? I feel like I could be able to have some activism shit on my Wikipedia page. Shit that I've done in terms of activism, but beyond that, it would be nothing.
Yeah, because I didn't when I was in undergrad, I was in student government, but that doesn't really make it into the. That's not really applicable. I was in student government during a rough time in Quebec political history, which I had to like be part of riding out severe austerity for all of the English schools, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Apparently, you need to have secondary sources, and media can report on what you've done. Well, then I'm not. Then I am notable enough. Then I can have a Wikipedia page because media reported on me when I did activism shit.
There's one article.
It turns out when you take over a government building, the press is like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Yeah, it's almost like direct action works.
It's almost like it works, actually. Almost.
Is fall not a thing in Sweden? No, it goes. What's it called? The first day of September, you go from the days of 29 degrees, and then it instantly goes to negative 45.
Basically, it's not that wrong actually. It's very cold.
It's currently 20 outside, which is not. I'm not happy. Okay. In your Hearts of Iron vid, you made a comment about alternate history. China colonizes California. Was that a reference to the Years of Rice and Salt? Because I thought you liked that book. It's not. It's not just the Years of Rice and Salt. That is a common. Like there's like a lot of alternate history that's like, what if Chongha went east instead of south, and colonized America? And it's like Chinese were interested in like setting up trading ports. They weren't interested in setting up colonies. But a lot of people think that like. A lot of alternate history is written with this idea that everyone thinks like Europeans do.
What do you mean settling is not a universal want and desire? What?
Yeah. So that's... I mean, The Years of Rice and Salt is an interesting book. Kim Stanley Robinson. Like, I haven't finished it, but... Yeah, it's basically... do you know this book or no?
No. Oh, well, I know of it because we talked about it here, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, the alternate history novel where the Black Death wipes out all the whites.
Mm.
But,
and Europe is colonized by the Middle East.
By the Middle East and China. Oh no, Europe
and China.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, the what's it called? Europeans are all Muslims. Yeah.
Mm.
Who are descendants of like Middle Eastern immigrants. Yeah.
Mm.
I have to finish. I have to get further than that at some point. But there's so many books to read. Yeah. So I'm happy. But you know that's the whole thing. Oh, I missed a super chat. Shit.
Oh.
Would the Supreme Court strike down the Civil Rights Act or various parts of it? They already have. The Voting Rights Act has already been struck down.
Yeah.
It really depends upon what laws come up. Because, like, in my mind, there's not, like, they would never do, like, the, like, let's just, like, get rid of the thing that says you can't discriminate against black people in your business or things like that. But they'll just chip away at it a little bit so that there's so many loose interpretations that you can effectively do that.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here's one that's going to be tough. This one. So this is somebody who said that they love your hair.
Thank you.
But this person, Thea Thorborg, is from Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
So this person is both from Denmark and loves your hair.
That's fine. I don't discriminate with compliments.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know the rules of the Dan law, but
well, the Dane law is more about that British people can't do anything against the Danes.
Oh. I just thought it was a funny sounding word.
Yeah, it's fun.
Are we FBI agents?
Are we?
You
the two of us? Well, I'm
your
definitely.
dad is. Your dad
my
is.
dad is. Yeah, my dad, Agent Fox Mulder, yeah, of the FBI.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Undermom, for following, by the way, which is a great name. All right. Fuck William Shatner. I agree. What do you think about the Voyager series? Ooh, this is a spicy one because this is one that is like a thing that is in flux right now because like in Star Trek world, like it was like for over a decade, it was just general consensus Voyager was a bad show. But then Voyager came out on Netflix, and everyone started rewatching it, and a lot of people are having like some serious like re-examination of how they felt about Voyager and why they felt about it the way they did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being seriously re-examined.
I would still say that it's bad. I think it's enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very enjoyable, but I still think it's pretty bad.
It's very hit or miss.
They have, I mean, they don't. I think one of the big issues is they don't really care about a lot of the ideas that they present. Like they have a lot of arcs and dynamics that they present in the show that they just drop and stop caring about. Like they care really much about the fact that they only have 45 photon torpedoes. And then over the course of the seasons, they fire like 400 photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
They just use shuttlecraft as it's nothing because they can just make new ones for some reason, just from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So it just becomes like there's no stakes left at that point because they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I feel like that happened with Enterprise too. Like there's this whole idea, like there's this tension where they had a cool new concept that they could have done good stuff with, but it's in tension with the idea that they need to have a paint-by-numbers syndication-friendly Star Trek show where if you turn on a Star Trek show, you have to expect a few things. And so, like, Rick Berman was so obsessed with making sure that every Star Trek sort of felt the same.
Yeah.
That Voyager couldn't do, like, oh, shit. Like, they did, like, one episode where, like, they had to think about violating the Prime Directive in order to survive and get home, which was the two-parter called the fuck was that show called? It was the two-parter where they find another Starfleet ship and that they like lost their warp core, so they like captured energy aliens and were like using them to power the ship or something. It started with an N because the name of the ship was like, was it N? I don't remember.
NX.
No. It was like a little, because it was like a much smaller ship than Voyager.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
It's probably the best Star Trek, the best like Voyager episodes, is the two-parter, or A Year from Hell. Like the thing about Voyager is that it's a show that like had a like whenever it explored its own show's concept, which was like, this is a ship that's lost and they're so far away from the Federation and they got to figure shit out. That's when it was doing its best.
Yeah.
Same with Enterprise, when it's like, this ship is a prototype and we have no idea how anything works. And like we're all idiots because we don't know how to do diplomacy. Like those are the best.
We don't have shields yet. We haven't invented that.
Yeah, like those are the best episodes of Enterprise. But like they sometimes forget about it because they have to do just like a bog standard Star Trek episode, and that's when it sucks. And then also Rick Berman is not very good at thinking of cool sci-fi ideas. You end up with like that weird episode where Captain Janeway turns into a newt.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
And then also he sometime around like 1997 he decided that like the solution to bad ratings is more horny, and that carried through all the way to the end of Enterprise.
Yeah.
God.
What an interesting fucking franchise Star Trek is.
Yeah, Enterprise is such a horny TV show. Like I can't, like there are shows that are like sexy, but that show is horny in the most awkward and dumb way possible.
Speaking of Star Trek, have you seen anything of Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated show?
I love it. It's great.
I love it too.
I'm
so glad.
Yeah, I'm having like it's. I think Kelly pointed out something very true about it, which is that hopefully by like season 2, they can get out of this like thing of they have to establish themselves as like a Star Trek comedy show by like making as many references to Star Trek as possible, and that like they can get on to like doing their own thing. But for now, it's still very fun.
Yeah.
It's also really hard to tell a Star Trek type story in 22 minutes. I'm noticing.
Yes, it's true. I the only thoughts that I had was that it felt very much like Rick and Morty, but within the fiction of Star Trek.
It's written by one of the Rick and Morty writers.
Is it? Oh well, that makes sense.
Yeah, the showrunner came from Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah, because it very much reminds me of Rick and Morty, like not just in the animation style, but also in the sort of the vibe of it all.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too, I'm trying to remember what her name is. Let me just find the characters on Lower Decks. The The other thing too is that since we were watching Enterprise at the same time as watching this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's Ensign Tendi, and she's an Orion, and that's interesting because Star Trek's relationship with the aliens known as Orions is, I'm going to go with complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Because Orions are, for anyone who doesn't know, basically Space Italy. Their country... All right, sorry, I killed me. I apologize.
Please keep going.
So, the government is called the Orion Syndicate, and basically they are the space mafia. But the other thing that they're known for is, like, anytime you hear about, like, Captain Kirk having sex with green women, it's because of the legend of the Orion slave girl, which is that they keep their women as sex slaves, and that Orion women are known for being uber sexy.
Mm-hmm. Very good at sex.
Yeah, you can't believe how great they are at doing sex. So then there's an episode of Enterprise where they had what I described as the most misogynistic man trying to do a feminism, where so what happens in the episode is that as part of a diplomatic agreement, this Orion, to try and basically make peace with Earth, to stop attacking Starfleet ships, they like meet up and they have an evening, and as like a gift, he gifts Captain Archer 3 Orion slave girls. But what turns out to happen is that Orion women secretly secrete a pheromone that gives women headaches and make men like basically have to do anything they say. And that the guy then the other Orion man says on the thing, he's like, oh yeah, in Orion society the men are the actual slaves and the women actually control everything through this pheromone stuff. And I just like, and then they had this Orion character in like Lower Decks, and I'm just like, oh, this is like they're obviously trying to like make the show more diverse and have more like women characters. It's great. I love what they're doing with it. And then it's like, and then they're adding the Orions. The Orions are probably one of the most gender problematic aliens in the entire show. Yet they're doing it, and I'm like, oh boy. Anytime they're going to do it, they're going to have to do a Tendi episode at some point where they're going to explore her backstory. It's like, can she just mind control men? Because it's like, she's also like kind of this like, they're kind of making her into like the adorkable character, right?
Yeah.
And so, and that she has
that'll be very fun.
Yeah. I'd be interested if anytime they have to figure out how do we do something with Ensign Tendi and the idea of like what Orions are built up to be. Because as we said, Space Italy. Well, they have to have a war with the Romulans because the Romulans are based on Romans, so they can figure out which one will be the true Space Italy. So therefore, that where is it?
Anyway, Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. It's fun. It's a fun. What's it called? I was about to say Star Trek. It's fun, and when it's not good, it's at least interesting. When it fails in very interesting ways that you can talk about with your friends.
That's very true.
Because that's the thing, is like every time there was the fight between Star Trek and Star Wars, back when Star Trek obviously won because Star Wars basically killed itself, like Star Trek is like, oh yeah, they just win by volume, because like one was like, yeah, it's like 3 movies, and the other one it's like, yeah, it's like 700 episodes of TV. Luckily you get like 100 good ones, and then you could just forget about the other 600. While like 2/3 now 2/3 of all Star Wars movies are complete shit. Or no, 8/9 of all Star Wars movies are bad. All of the ones that aren't what's it called, the Rian Johnson one that I forget the name of right now.
I forget.
The eighth Star Wars movie, the only one that actually was a movie. Where is it you live? London, Ontario. A city that people live in.
A city. I live in the Stockholm region of Sweden.
There you go. We have... Oh, we are actually at the end of time. So, please, would you like to tell everybody on the internet where they can consume your content?
You can consume Mia Mulder content on youtube.com/c/Mia Mulder. You can watch my latest video. I have a new video coming out in hopefully 2 days. Although we'll see how that goes because I'm falling behind on work. You can also go to watchnebula.com/Mia Mulder. Nebula now has one free watch, I think, something per month. And if you watch my videos, I get paid. So please do that. I think you need to have an account. I don't know how Nebula works. I'm on Nebula and I don't really understand how it works. But you can watch my videos there, and if you watch them there, I get paid an actual good amount as compared to YouTube. If you can also consume my tweets on twitter.com/potatopolitics, where I tweet every single goddamn hour of every day.
Mm-hmm. And as for me, you guys will all see me tomorrow night. Keep subscribe to YouTube and follow on the Twitch, and my stuff will come up. This is my channel. You're the guest. So for everybody in Twitch land, we're gonna go and raid Kevin Logan. Is Kevin Logan?
Why not?
He was in my latest video. He was a real sport about it. So let's go say hello. Oh, the stream is starting soon. So let's raid somebody who's actually at their desk and talking. Let's go see Rocketansky.
Let's.
She's always good value. Christy might be there though. Oh yeah. Oof. All right. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow night. Bye.